Good morning, everybody. My name is David Noll, and I have been blessed with the opportunity to speak to you all today, not just about my story, but to tell you guys about how good God is and how He heals and how He performs miracles. So like I said, my name is David Noll. I'm a senior at Color Creek High School. And for those that know me, I love basketball. Ball is life. I love basketball. And I've played since I was a little kid. And my freshman year, after my season ended, after our season ended, right, I would go and I would practice after school for a few hours before heading home for the rest of the day. I made this my goal to hold myself accountable to make sure that I stay to it and that I practiced each and every day so that I could improve and get better. So one day in May, while I was practicing, I started having a really hard time breathing. I started having a really hard time catching my breath, breathing. My throat starts to close up, and this has never happened to me before. So I finish up, I go home, and then it keeps getting worse. It gets harder to breathe, and it feels like my throat keeps closing up more. And I have travel ball basketball practice after this, and I decide to go to it, and it keeps getting progressively worse. And I finish it, and I tell my mom that I have no idea what's going on. I'm really scared. And she said, let's go home, let's relax for a minute, and if it keeps getting worse, I'll take you to the emergency room. Well, sure enough, it keeps getting worse and worse. So this is about 11 o'clock at night at this point, and she takes me there, and then we're there till almost 4 in the morning, and they were doing a bunch of testings on me. They were trying to just figure out how one day I was perfectly fine, and then the next day I just can't breathe. That doesn't happen very often. So it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning at this point, and I'm out of it. I'm really tired, and the doctor comes in and is talking to my mom, and tells my mom he looks stable enough to where we're not going to have to transport him. And we were like, what? And then the doctor said, yeah, we've called a children's Erlanger hospital, and they're going to see him first thing in the morning. Once they open up, they want to see him as quick as possible. So we go there not knowing, again, what's going to happen, what is going on. Maybe this is just a one-day thing. They can help me out, and we'll be rolling. And so they do a bunch of testings on me. We're waiting in the waiting room, and, all the negative thoughts start coming. What's this? Am I going to get hurt? Is something going to happen to me? What if I can't play basketball anymore? What if, all these things happen to me? And so Dr. Moracle comes in with a heart diagram. And you talk about a great first impression with somebody. The first thing he says is, David, I'm sorry, but you will never play sports again. You'll never get to play basketball again. You'll be on heart medication for the rest of your life. And any sort of cardiovascular activity that you want to perform, you will be restricted from doing it. And I've been blessed all my life to be a healthy kid. And you go from one day being totally fine to the next day to, yeah, David, you can't play sports anymore. You can't play basketball anymore. You go from top all the way to rock bottom just at a snap of a finger. And as you can imagine, I was really tore up after I was told this terrible news. It was a really hard time after he told me this. I was in such a bad place after we left the hospital that I go to social media and I look up motivational quotes. Motivational quotes. What am I doing? And I open it, and all it is about going to the gym, getting big muscles, and nothing about anything that's going to help me out. And I was like, I'm just making myself feel worse. It's telling me to go to the gym, and I was told I can't go anymore, but driving home, I was like, God, if you're with me, will you please help me right now? Will you please show me a sign that you're here? I close my eyes and I start scrolling. With my eyes closed, I press down on one, open my eyes, click on it without looking at it, and it says, keep your head held high and your king held higher. So yeah, I knew from that point on that God, I didn't know what plan he had through all this, but I knew that he was going to be with me and that he was on my side and that he was going to take care of me. And whether he was going to let me play or not, or play basketball or not, I knew that whatever he had planned for me, that I was going to be okay. And as I'm talking to Dr. Moracle, I say, do you believe in God, Dr. Moracle? He said, yes. I said, well, he's going to heal my heart. He's going to heal me. And so for the next 2 weeks, I had to have 3 major testings done, a genetic test, a stress test, and a heart MRI. Because due to my vitals, they thought I had a heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is the enlarging of the heart, and when too much stress is put on it, it completely stops, and you either pass away or you collapse. And so not good stuff. And it wasn't looking good at the time. And so as we're doing all this, I prayed to God. I said, if you will just give me one more chance, I promise I will not take it for granted, and I will make the most of it. I prayed this for this 2-week period every single day. If I could just have one more chance, I promise I will make the most of it. And so the Bible verse that we had earlier is Philippians 4:6-7. And after all this had happened, the first night on my Bible app, God sends me this. It says, do not worry about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. And for this 2-week period, I got a Bible verse that had everything to do with trusting in him with your heart and your mind. And this was him talking to me. I knew that through all this, I was going to be okay. And so each day was a grind. Each day was another battle with all these testings. And 2 days later, after I'm told if I do too much, I'm going to die, they strapped me to a treadmill for a stress test. So you can imagine that was a pretty scary day right there. And then I had lots of blood work done, and I had the genetic test done. And then I was in one of those tubes for an hour and 10 minutes for the heart MRI. And then just through all of this, I stayed faithful. I knew God was going to take care of me. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I trusted him through all of this. I trusted him, and I knew that he was in control. And I'm happy to tell all of you, every single one of those tests came back negative of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Thank you. He calls us. He says, I want to see you the next day, after he told us all this awesome news. So we go and see him, and he said, David, I'm not really supposed to tell you this, but you were healed. My own cardiologist said that there was no scientific reasoning that my heart was performing better than it was 2 weeks ago. He said, it's nothing that I did. It's no medicine that we did. He said, Jesus healed you. And he said, I also never do this, but I'm taking you off all heart medication, and I'm lifting you off of all heart restrictions. And of course, that was some of the best news I ever heard. And I just trusted in God, and I knew that he was going to take care of me. No matter what it was, I knew he had a plan for me. And so I got to play my high school years of basketball. And just recently, I got a scholarship to play collegiate basketball at Shorter University. Yeah. So, yeah. The moral of this whole story that I always want to get out to the people when I speak about this is that even in your darkest times, God is with you. He's there for you. He wants to be there for you. He's going to help you. And I'm a firm believer that what you put into something, you get out of it. And I'm a firm believer, your hard work might not pay off the next day, a week later, a month later, even 4 years it might not pay off, but one day it will. And I'm a firm believer in that. And the moral of this story is, the doctor said no, so God said yes. And I knew from then on that this happened for a reason. And without any of this happening to me, I might not be there. If none of this happened to me, I wouldn't be standing here having a story to share to you. And I am forever grateful that this had happened to me. And I am so glad that I am able to help others out when they're going through hard stuff like this, because I can relate to how they feel. And I am so glad that it has given me a story. It has given me a purpose to talk to people about. And I'm so glad that you all came here today. Thank you all again so much, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thank you. Thank you.